The fourth model of this section deals with the existential question regarding the usage of media by individuals. The model argues that the mainstream media for the longest time was utilitarian in nature, that it provided a service, that it was doing a job and it had a purpose. This is no longer the case. Media usage of the modern time is highlighted by an escapist mentality, where individuals seek media in order to escape the realities of their dull lives, and they achieve different levels of arousals based on their personal biases and the base of what kind of arousal they're looking for. It could be cultural in nature, or it could be totally driven by fiction. Now, for the next model is deals with new media and the information society. Information society is defined as a society that is in which information is of the highest value, that it's so much that it's almost a commodity. After the industrial age, new media was heralded as the next step towards globalization. It was looked at as a tool that would change the world for the better. But sadly, that was not the case. Although new media and new media technologies, along with globalization, had given had a lot of pros to them. There were a lot of benefits to them, but there were cons to them as well. The first and foremost, when we talk about new media and new technology, what new media did was it introduced new technology and information like never before in the world. It distributed it and it was available to anybody, right? That led to early adaptations of technologies that were never heard of before in areas that were never heard of before. So that enabled the market to produce goods at a highly efficient rate. But through the same innovation, what happened was that more and more people were unemployed because they were no longer needed in those factories to make those goods. And in the ever widening pay gap, these markets are destined to become non-functional because the buying power of the working class will subside over time, and the price of goods will keep on rising. And this is very conflicting, considering the consumerist nature of the current of the current era. Another aspect of the information society is understanding the degree to which the information society retains the information, because information becomes a commodity. Its production, distribution, and the quality is industrial in nature. So it's almost used as business. It runs on a business model. The goal of that is to get the highest engagement with using as less of the whole journalistic and media approach to it, right? So, and when information is produced at such a fast pace with such low quality, the information societies are not informed societies. They have very less knowledge. And in today's media, obsolete linear media and content systems are becoming are dying out, and they've been replaced by, or at least being challenged by, media systems that are more interactive and therefore more inclusive, like the social media. This fact is, however, accompanied by many problems, because social media has the privilege that it can allow anyone to voice their opinion on any subject. It gives rise to the problem of armchair analysts, where people who have not done the work, who don't have the context to the problem, they can give opinions as well, which give rise to the misinformation culture that is predominant in this era, especially on the new media. This can be seen especially in this era. Now we'll go on towards the last section of this course, which is the international communication, uh, the models that govern international communication. International communication, because of new media and technologies, gave rise to greater cross-cultural references. This can be seen as a product of globalization as well. Uh, Cultures are intermixed with each other right now. For example, I am wearing this shirt that does not conform to the cultural and societal norms of my society, but I have this because that's how I was shaped through it. Whether it is through whether we can see these changes either through an optimistic approach, in which we can see that the international communication culture and which is powered by the new media has created a sense of individualistic progress and a sense of democratization into the in the rest of the world. But on the flip side of this argument, it promotes neoliberalism, which is an idea that the reason for me wearing this was because my grandparents were amazed by white folk. So international, but another thing we need to understand is that international communication, international media was meant to be unidirectional, and it is unidirectional because it comes from the center, which is the West, which developed these technologies before us, and because the developing countries never really developed these, and we sought to just copy them. That's why that's why the international communication is usually unidirectional. Maulana gave a very insightful model regarding the flow information, in which hardware versus software and production versus distribution was analyzed. The journal gave the models to present a familiar sequence from sender to receiver, mediated by a technologically based production and a distribution system. In that, each stage of and one another important aspect of this is to understand that all these four stages, where the sender creates the message, it's distributed through a system, and it's produced in a system, which, and all of these systems are technological in nature. These do not have to be confined by geographical aspects. Rather, it is more common that all different aspects of international communication are developed in different areas. Production hardware consists of studios and printing presses, and production software includes elements such as scripts, performance rights, management, and professional norms. Distribution software includes publicity, research, and marketing. At both stages, production and distribution, Maulana reminds us that there are extra as well as intra-media variables on the production side, facts of ownerships and economics, for instance, and on the distribution side also social and economic factors. The most important point which this model illustrates and can help to analyze is the condition of multiple dependency, which is often involved, especially in the flow of communication from more developed to less developed countries. The latter are often dependent in respect of all four main elements in the sequence. Maulana also talks about a full communication autonomy, which is that a country can only be fully autonomous in its communication if it has the ability or the resources to do all the four aspects by itself, where it is not dependent to borrow technology from another country. However, full autonomous communication does not mean that you are cut off from the international world. It's just that you have own voice that you can make as loud as needed, as it's needed to be. The next part is the is the model for international news flow. The international news flow is implicitly negative towards the third world. The situation has been explained in terms of a center periphery models, in which the center is the West and the periphery is all the developing countries. Uh, Other hypothesis in this model represents the following: that there will be a predominance of the center. The center news is relatively more prominent in foreign news, and there is little or no flow between peripheral countries. So center has a strong communication with the peripheries, but the peripheries within themselves don't communicate with each other effectively. That's why they remain in their own problems. Then the last part of this is the transnational television flow. Many developed countries are themselves relatively dependent in respect to audiovisual fiction. The US has been dominating the television and on film industries since the 70s and the 60s. The scale and significance of these trends are still being debated, but the possibility of national and European culture subordination and decline has been aired throughout. It is quite evident that all the television practices that we practice in all over around the world are very much influenced by the European or the Western culture. And that transnationalization is a dependent variable or effect. In fact, as Sepstrom points out, there is no simple or direct cause and effect sequence at work, or not one that can be demonstrated. A distinction has first to be made between three kinds of international flow. A national flow is, there are three kinds of flows. A national flow is when foreign, not home produced content is distributed into the national system. Bilateral is when content originating and meant for one region is also aired into another region. For example, the news of Punjab, because of its cosmopolitan nature, is also aired in other areas of Pakistan where it's not relatable at all. Then there is the multilateral flow of television, in which the content is created in mind of keeping a global audience. For example, in movies or dramas where it's not meant for a certain audience. Certain movies and certain dramas are not meant for a certain audience. These are global in nature. This can also be considered as a two-step process of effects, in which transnationalized TV services, those with much foreign content, are first of all a dependent variable. This is a first level effect. At the second step, transnationalized media are themselves an independent variable with the potential for influencing society, values, or culture. If the content is received and registered only if the second stage is completed, then there is a complete sequence of transnationalization. These effects are somehow challenged by the rapid onslaught of home produced content, especially through the new media. So this concludes our course, and I apologize for the length of it. I'm not good at this, that's why I keep fumbling, and the video length is quite large. I apologize for that. Thank you.